if a team wants to give you $430 million to stay there for 12 plus years because they love you, they have fun, then you stay and you do that. And that story was the 430 was obviously Mike Trout's that contract. Jeff Passan broke the news. And Jeff, kind of take me through this timeline of when did this contract get agreed upon and how long have they been working on this deal?
You know, it's come together pretty quickly, actually. There was not a whole lot of optimism, even as of yesterday afternoon, among the Angels that they were going to get this done. But I think both parties recognize that Mike Trout belongs in a Los Angeles Angels uniform. When you have a generationally great player like him, you want to keep him around. And if it costs more money than any athlete in history has ever been paid, then you pony up that money. Because the idea of Mike Trout going to Philadelphia or New York or across, up the 5 into Dodger Stadium, that's a scary thing. If you're Artie Moreno, the owner of the Angels, and he stepped up. And you know what? Credit due to the Angels. They have had a dreadful history of long-term contracts, whether it's Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, C.J. Wilson, Gary Matthews Jr. Like, they have not turned out well. But in this case, they're hoping that the 5th time's a charm.
Yeah, Jeff, I got the list right here. You got the Bartolo Colon, Vladimir Guerrero, Torrey Hunter, Vernon Wells, Zach Greinke, Pujols, C.J. Wilson, Josh Hamilton, Upton for the re-signing, Ian Kinsler. It's been a long list, but look, Artie Moreno has said, like, I'm going to spend money and win championships. Hopefully, they haven't done that recently. But when it comes to this contract and this deal for Mike Trout, Jeff, help me out here. Should Angel fans be thanking Bryce Harper for kind of igniting that flame and forcing the hand of the Angels to get something done?
You know, I don't know that there is a direct correlation there. Going into the offseason, well before Bryce Harper became a Philadelphia Philly, the Angels had designs on extending Mike Trout. They understood that his contract was going to be expiring after the 2020 season, and if it got close enough, the closer you get to free agency, the more alluring it is. And that especially goes for star players like Trout, because while the market has cratered for those mid-tier guys, Harper still got his $330 million. Manny Machado still got his $300 million. Nolan Arenado still got, his $270 million. I mean, there were a lot of guys out there this offseason who got paid. And so the idea that Mike Trout was potentially going to be out there on the open market was scary to the Angels, and they understood that they needed to pony up. That being said, the new money that they gave him is 10 years and about $365 million. And if you look at that and compare it to what Machado got or what Harper got, it's not that bad a deal. And I know it's crazy to hear that, like $365 million guaranteed is not a bad deal, but you have to contextualize it. And in the context of what others are getting paid right now, right. $365 for 10 years, tacking on to the 2 years and $66.5 million that he's still owed on this deal, that's pretty good.
No, it's really good because when we compare it to what, was signed a long time ago back in 2012 with Albert Pujols, you say 10 years, $240, that was like a bargain, right? Still, when you think about it in today's money. So my next question for you, Jeff, and Jeff Passan, the ESPN MLB insider, joining the Rich Eisen show, Kirk Morrison filling in for Rich. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff Passan. Okay, so the Mike Trout deal is done. And now we're going to focus more on the Angels baseball team now. Okay, what's next? You got your guys signed, but they don't have the same manager. Mike Scioscia, who had been there since 2000, he's no longer the manager who has coached Bryce Harper since Harper entered the league. So now they turn to Brad Ausmus. So what are we expecting now moving forward with this Angels team and new manager, Brad Ausmus?
It remains to be seen, and I don't mean to equivocate with that answer, but it all depends on their pitching, and pitching has been problematic for the Angels. They've had a rash of Tommy John surgeries that really have hindered their ability to develop guys, and so You're looking at Trevor Cahill. You're looking at Matt Harvey. You're looking at guys on one-year deals right now to sort of bridge the gap between the return of Shohei Otani on the mound in 2020, the arrival of Griffin Canning, one of their top prospects. They've got some arms in their organization, but the number that actually pan out as opposed to who are just prospects, you're looking at like a 25-30% hit rate on a guy. So you need volume rather than talent. And when you can combine those two, it's great. The Angels don't have a surplus of starting pitching in the organization, though, which means they're going to have to go outside. And what they can sell now is, hey, you get to play with the greatest player of his generation, and maybe the greatest player ever when it's all said and done. And you get to play with the most unique player in 100 years. And, oh, by the way, you get to live in a place that's 75 and sunny every day. So, selling the Angels is not a very difficult thing to do. But their lack of recent track record of winning is problematic for guys. When you go somewhere in free agency, you want one of two things. You want to win or you want to get paid. And a lot of guys, especially the best ones, can get both. So the Angels are going to need to step up and continue filling that payroll with quality players, because what they've got right now is not yet enough.
Well, with the details of this contract, obviously the big question will be no trade clause, no opt-outs. Is any of that fine language within this contract that Mike Trout possibly could be in another uniform outside of the Angels maybe 10 years down the road?
The only way Mike Trout will be in another uniform is if he chooses, because there are no opt-outs and he has a no-trade clause. So he controls his destiny. And like Bryce Harper, all he wanted to do was stay in one place. And Los Angeles, Orange County is that place for him.
One of the guys that you mentioned that underwent Tommy John surgery back on October 1st was Shohei Otani. Now, I know pitching is out of the question for him this season, but he did take batting practice yesterday. What's the latest on Shohei Otani and his plans for this season?
It's looking like he will be back in May as the full-time designated hitter, which is crazy because we've never seen somebody who just had Tommy John surgery try and play a full season before. And that's because we've never had somebody like Shohei Otani. I mean, he is an incredible athletic specimen. I think people probably don't recognize that. He runs incredibly fast. He hits the ball incredibly hard. He throws the ball incredibly hard. He is incredible in every sense of the word. But it's going to be a really interesting story this year, I think, to see just how well he can produce from that DH role in a near full season of at-bats when he gets back in May.
Yeah, the reigning AL Rookie of the Year. Obviously, you mentioned there still needs to be deals done for this Angels team, possibly, whether it's the pitching, like you mentioned. They're going to have the hitting, they believe. But with some big names still out there in free agency, do you see the Angels possibly making a run at Craig Kimbrel or Dallas Keuchel?
Look, the Angels don't have a clear-cut closer at this point. The Angels don't have a clear-cut number one type starter at this point. I don't think Dallas Keuchel's a one, but he's certainly a guy who would start opening day for them. Craig Kimbrel very easily would be their closer. But at the same time, just because you're spending money on Mike Trout now doesn't mean that you suddenly want to go out and rush the free agent market and try to win this year. You know, they signed him, or they're going to sign him once this deal gets finalized for 12 years. And so to go out and do something right now just for the sake of trying to win this year, I think would probably be an ill-advised move. But look, it all depends on the price. I mean, Craig Kimbrel's price has dropped. Dallas Keuchel's price has dropped. And if they drop into the range where the Angels feel comfortable dishing out that money, I would expect them to do so. It's just not there yet.
Jeff Passan, ESPN MLB insider. But, Jeff, are you surprised that these guys are still out there? I mean, it's been a crazy sort of MLB free agency. We waited so long for these deals. Machado, Harper, now Trout gets them, but he wasn't a free agent. But you still got two quality all-star level players still out there waiting for the deal. Like, what's going on? Why aren't these guys signed?
I think both of them started off with very large asks, and they just waited there on the market because they felt like the market was going to come to them. It has not. And that's where you have to recalibrate your expectations if you are Craig Kimbrel or Dallas Keuchel, and I think they're in the midst of doing that at this point. But opening day is 10 days away. Like, neither of them is going to be ready for the beginning of the season. I mean, especially Dallas Keuchel. The likelihood is at this point he's probably not going to be ready till mid to late April. So, they've lost themselves, Keuchel especially, about a month of the season right now, and that's not good for anyone. And it's unfortunate, but it's also a reality of the market right now. The market has changed, and sometimes you got to change with it, but you don't want to change too much because in your mind you have an idea of what you're worth. And as long as people are offering you less than that, there's going to be an enormous reticence to accept it because you feel like nothing's changed, at least with you personally, from the end of last season to the beginning of this year.
Jeff, you mentioned something that opening day is right around the corner. And the Los Angeles Dodgers have had the same opening day starter for the last 8 years. It's been Clayton Kershaw. Now, I did some research yesterday, Jeff. The last starter in 2010, other than Kershaw, Vicente Padilla was a Dodger starter back in 2010. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot with that trivia question, but yeah, I had to do some research yesterday. But that being said, Dave Roberts.
Kirk, I would have needed 1,000 guesses, and I still would not have gotten that right.
And then the year before that was Hideki Kuroda.
I'll be honest, I didn't even remember Vicente Padilla was with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that just, God, those were some dark days when Frank McCourt was owner.
I did some digging yesterday, Jeff. I was doing my homework. So then before that was Hideki Kuroda. So people do remember that name. But these are pitchers that were before Clayton Kershaw, and he's been, obviously the stud that he is, one of the great pitchers we think in the game for the last, 10, 12 years. So with Clayton Kershaw now being, not ready for opening day, Dave Roberts came out and said it yesterday. What do we think of Clayton Kershaw now in this season if he's not the day one starter? How do they really feel about a guy that they even extended a contract to him?
Well, I think they're worried about his health, and that's the big question at this point. What Clayton Kershaw are we going to see? Is this rest for his arm going to reinvigorate it, or is it going to be the guy who during the playoffs last year was sitting 90 with a slider at 88? And when you have no separation between those two pitches, or a very minimal separation, hitters are going to key on it. I personally expect Clayton Kershaw to be back and to be good again. And that's not based on any inside information that I have. That's just my knowledge of who he is as a person, how much he cares, and his ability to will himself to do really incredible things. I think he's an extremely smart pitcher, a crafty guy, despite the fact that he, for so long, has made his bones, as a power pitcher. But there may be an adjustment period as he gets into his 30s here where he needs to reinvent himself. I don't know if we're at that point yet, but plenty of other great pitchers have done so. And if that is Clayton Kershaw's lot in baseball at this point, that's something that I expect him to do willingly and do well.
Yeah, Hiroki Kuroda I mentioned, and Vicente Padilla, the two previous pitchers for the Dodgers on opening day, other than Clayton Kershaw in the last, 11 years. So that was my research from yesterday, Jeff. I'm glad I can stump you for a little bit on that one.
Thank you. I appreciate you making me look stupid on the air. That is your job.
No. You did great today. You with your tweets this morning. Trust me.
I'm kidding, man. Listen. I am anytime a football player can come and make me feel stupid about baseball, I actually applaud it. Like, that's like, good on you, man.
No,
good for you. And that's a great that is a great trivia question.
It is.
That is a spectacular trivia question.
Hey, you can take it, man. I didn't see. You got it. You can take it, use it with all day today. Don't worry about it, Jeff. Hey, appreciate the time, by the way.
I appreciate that. I am absolutely going to steal it from you, and I know that sounds like I was trying to make you feel bad. I promise that was not the intention at all. I legitimately am in awe of you for figuring that out. And thank you for not asking me, because that would have really made me look stupid.
All good, man. I appreciate the time, Jeff. I'll be looking for that tweet today, by the way. So I'll be looking out for it. Appreciate it.
All right, Kirk. Take care, man.
That was Jeff Passan, the ESPN MLB insider, at Jeff Passan on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.